The commercial recreational divide, the red snapper was really contentious. I mean, I wrote about that, and I kind of sided with Ocean Conservancy, of the Nature Conservancy, and groups like that really gave a nod to the commercial fishermen, because for a while there, commercial fishing for red snapper, it was limited, but what it was limited to was all the boats could go out on the first of the month and try to catch as many red snapper as they could. And then the National Marine Fisheries Service made a determination of when they reached their quota as a fleet. And which meant that, there'd be a hurricane in the Gulf the first 3 days of that season, and nobody would, in their right mind, would or should go out in the Gulf, but they did because they had to make a living. And what the commercials agreed to do was essentially make individual fishing quotas their mantra. And so each boat captain or boat outfitter or company or whatever that fished for red snapper would submit their historical catches over the past several years or whatever. And then they would be issued, okay, you can catch this many pounds of snapper this season, and you can do it whenever you want. We're not going to tell you have to go out in 5-foot seas. You can go out when the market price is good and the seas are safe. And that was revolutionary. And it really threw the recreational anglers, particularly CCA, for a loop, because they thought that the commercial fishermen were killing all our red snapper and giving the recreational guys the leftovers, when in fact commercial fishing effort in Texas was a fraction of the recreational effort in Texas. And CCA used to always say, we're not going to kill the population by rod and reel. Well, when you multiply those rods and reels by millions, yes, you will. Yes, you can. And especially since Texas had a year-round season in state waters, which is 9.5 miles offshore. And nobody believes that a year-round fishery for red snapper in state waters is being honored by the fishermen who go out past state waters to catch them and just tell everybody they've caught them in state waters. So, I mean, I'm not going to vilify an entire recreational sector of fishermen, but I mean, it's kind of a wink and a nod kind of thing. When you come in with snapper that weigh 12 or 15 pounds and you tell people you caught them off of this little reef that's 8 miles offshore, nobody believes you, but they can't prove it. So that was a divide there. And I think finally, ultimately, Texas got its way. They still have a year-round fishery for red snapper, and they still get to regulate their own snapper seasons, and they get to decide when they reach their quota. And if the feds find out that they misrepresented what they caught, they're subtracting that from the following season. So I guess it's pretty much died down. But I think the one thing that I realize in all that is you can't always side with the perceived villain, which in this case would have been the commercial fishermen, who really bent over backwards to essentially count their fish. It was the only fishery who was doing that. I mean, there was no measuring system for how many red snapper recreational fishermen caught in Texas. Virtually none.